Welcome to another GRIDWORK vlog. Or GRIDWORK is, I guess, a little bit loose, but here we are. So, fairly straightforward exercise. I set up 2 jumps on each side of a figure of 8. So effectively going over the jumps when we go along the diagonal. They were spaced out so that we would jump 3 strides jump. And they were spaced out perfectly for when we were doing those canter poles, but we did have to tweak them a little bit when we popped them up as little jumps. Nico was a little bit spicy, so I did decide I was going to ride him in the morning because he does seem to have a bit more energy in the morning. So I thought, let's try riding him in the morning and see if he is a bit more forward, if it's a little bit less, not less effort for me, but sometimes when I ride him in the afternoon he's so lazy that it's such hard work that I think my position suffers, which I know is a fault in me, but we need to work together and get the progress in the best way. And riding him in the morning definitely made a huge difference. He was a lot more forward. I actually at times struggled to hold him because he was so keen. So that was nice and refreshing. So I am going to ride him again another morning just to confirm that he is just more goey in the morning and it wasn't just a fluke. And then if it is that he is more goey in the morning, then I'm going to look at his energy requirements with regards to then riding him later on in the day, to see what we can do to help him to have that energy. I wouldn't say he's skinny, so I would say he's getting his energy from his food, but maybe he just needs something a bit more, I don't know, heating to give him the energy. If you've got any suggestions, please comment below and let me know what you give to give your horse a little bit more energy. We're obviously working on the fitness, and he is getting a lot fitter, so that's coming. But I do think it seems to be like a time of the day thing at the moment. So as always, we started with the poles on the ground and then worked up, slowly progressing. So first jump across pole, keeping the second jump on the ground. So it's striding out lovely with the first pole being up and the second pole being on the ground, but when we put the second pole up, it just wasn't quite right. So I did get Ben to wiggle it around a little bit, so I think he is gradually learning sort of like striding and stuff like that, bless him. This sort of exercise is really good as well when we are working on our canter, because okay, he's not landing on the correct canter lead after we finish the grid, if you like, but he's coming on the correct canter lead for the direction we were going. So, you know, at the moment for me it's all about just building up the strength in the canter, so I'm not too fussed about what leg he's on. So we have progressed to putting all of the poles up. He did just knock that second one down. But if you look how much energy he gives that jump, he was a bit like, oh, there's a jump there with that one. Part of me thinks, and I'm not saying this as an excuse, but I do think this yellow straight pole that we've got up on this sort of like first line of jumps that we're coming to, he's giving it like a good jump. Admittedly, as I say, it wasn't quite on the right striding. We did play around with it a little bit, but even when we got it on the correct striding, he was still knocking it. So I'm not sure if that's because it's like a slight sort of like diagonal on the poly jump, or whether or not it's just a bit small. Because he's obviously jumping it, but he's not putting a huge amount of effort into making sure he jumps it. So I don't know if maybe we need to just pop that up a little bit bigger. So the straight pole on those blue poly jumps, I think, is 70. And he's jumping that lovely look. But I also need to put my big brave girl pants on because, you know, I feel like it's still very early days and I would rather that we were doing smaller jumps than big jumps, but we'll see how it goes. He jumped everything. He's never refused. He sometimes has a little bit of a look, but he's very good. If I get my leg on him, he straightens up and pops over. But I was really chuffed with him. He went really well. I was really pleased that he was easier to ride and not quite such hard work. He did have like a little attempt at a victory buck a couple of times, but he didn't actually manage to get away with it, so I've been nipping that in the bud. Like that. Yeah, he's really coming along. I was really chuffed with it. I was absolutely chuffed to bits at the end of that session with the way he went. So yeah, we're getting there.